This poem was written in the mid 1960s, just about the time where the city schools here in New York began open admissions, and that meant that blacks, Hispanics could just register at city schools and come on aboard. Um, in much the same way as anything else, this was a welcomed and a needed alternative to the staleness of white monopolies. And indeed, I, like a lot of other people who I was friendly with, I mean, we actually thought we were black for the first 30 or 40 years of our lives, in one way, shape, or form. This poem is called Early Morning Hours, and it's for a fellow who I know. His name's Jesse Gilbert. Ain't no question who got more rhythm, even in the early morning when my eyes strain against the fresh day. It seems they got up dancing, popping their fingers as they pee, and hum as a toothbrush crosses their teeth. I see them later in the sugar bowl as I struggle over a second cup of coffee, envying their Pepsi breakfast. It doesn't stop. It never stops. I believe it is born with and grows into a different set of colors, a saxophone solo. Kerouac felt it, tried to live it, and hungered to be it. I read Jack Early and remember my thumb stuck out. Automatically, it cost me something, like living on a white line and looking for a father. This next poem was actually the first poem of mine that was ever published. It was published in a magazine called Changes. It was owned by this woman, Susan Graham Mingus, who was the wife of the great jazz bassist Charles Mingus. The poem is entitled Sunday. Body repose, mind nomadic, constant flux even on the day of rest. All is quiet. The rape goes on and on. Coercing lover over food, soft beverages, and burps of what happened during the preceding 6 days. It is boring, with feeling. Slick, sophisticate, gray haired news shows are on TV tells us nothing except that you can't catch the week on one day's notice. Sunday drivers litter the streets, making easy going impossible. Everybody wants to go easy. Too bad. Stay home and wait. And wait for relatives to sneak up and say, I don't recognize you. And whatever became of what's her name, who died while they were cooking for the holidays. Sunday, that misused day of waiting for Monday's dull blade that cuts sharper than a straight edged razor, but goes unnoticed, yawning. Shh, silent. That poem was written in Coney Island, 1968. One before that was also written in Coney Island, maybe a year earlier. Next poem was also written in 1968. Of course, I'd already, had a junk habit, and like any good romantic pseudo poet, capitalized on all those things. There, at the beginning of any run, there's a sense of romanticism until the romanticism becomes serious. Anyway, this poem is called Get Me. I stare at him through 103 miles per hour. Get me. You miss me through bags of junk. Get me out of impulse. Take me while fucking anybody, swallowing anything. Get me out of here. I'm waiting. I know you're waiting. Me too. Waiting till you start living. I pushed harder on the pleading accelerator. Coney Island, 1968. And the last poem is called No Mistake. It's written in Coney Island, 1969. No mistake. The way back home is not always the easiest. Poe's fall was not luck.